Political leaders are elected by the people, for the people and of the people. In this scenario, it's their right to voice out for the people for their own safety. Hello everyone, welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today we are going to discuss why 14 MPs have been suspended in the parliament and what was the reason for their suspension. So, moving towards the points of discussion part. First of all, we are going to discuss the news and then who can suspend MPs, and then we are going to discuss terms of suspensions, that on what terms they can be suspended, intervention by the court, that do Supreme Court and High Court have authority into this, practice question for prelims and mains. So, moving towards the news part. So, couple of days back we have seen that Parliament has seen an unfortunate circumstances in which two people have entered to the parliament and they had started using canisters, and so much ruckus has been created in the parliament. And because of this, the next day the MPs united together, especially the opposition MPs, and they had asked from the Speaker of the Lok Sabha and also the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha that why such things have happened in the parliament. And in order for their asking and in order to voicing out for their right, they had started creating ruckus, and in terms of the disciplinary actions, 14 MPs has been suspended from the parliament and they were mostly from the opposition leader. So this is the news we are going to discuss. And since 2019, we have seen that almost 71 times there was suspension in the parliament. So in the last 4 to 5 years, 71 times we have witnessed that some MPs are suspended because of the disciplinary action, because of the unruly behavior in the parliament. So this is the news. Moving towards the static portion of this today's news. So the slide is about who can suspend MPs. So we have two houses in the parliament. The first house is the Rajya Sabha and the second house is the Lok Sabha. And in the Rajya Sabha we have the chairperson, and in the Lok Sabha we have this speaker. So they have right to suspend any MPs from the parliament. And why they do such things? So because of the certain disciplinary action, because of the certain unruly behavior, because their behavior and conduct was not up to the mark, and that's why they have been suspended. But that's also create lots of questions, then how can define a behavior as unruly behavior, undemocratic behavior. So there's a lot of controversy related to it, and we have a separate rules for that. So what rule 373 says that? So rule 373 applies to the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, which can direct that there should be the withdrawal of immediately of a person. And this belongs to that a person can be withdrawn, or he can or she can be suspended for the remaining session of the days. So in one scenario, they can be suspended for remaining session of the days, but we have a different scenario. The next scenario is Rule 374. So what this rule 374 deals with? So he also deals with the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, and they had the authority of the chair that they can withdraw and they can suspend any person from the remainder of the session. It means that suppose that this is the winter session going of the parliament, and if any person is doing any undemocratic behavior in the parliament which is not acceptable and which is unwelcoming in nature, then the person can be suspended for the remaining session of the parliament, not for the whole 4 or 5 years. So this is the difference. Then we have another rule which is Rule 374A. So what happened into this, that in this scenario, the particular MP has been suspended for the 5 session of the parliament. So this is the Rule 374A. Similarly, we have rules for the Rajya Sabha also. So Rajya Sabha is the upper house of the parliament, and what Rule 255 says? So it says the general rule that the suspension can be invoked by the chairperson of the particular house. And what the Rule 256 says there? So Rule 256 says that if any person is doing any kind of objectionable behavior, then he or she can be suspended for the remainder session of the particular session. So this is the rules related to the that on what grounds any parliamentary can be suspended. So these are the rules. Moving to the next slide, which is what are the terms of suspension. So if any person is suspended, that what he or she cannot do or what he or she can do. So these are the suspension terms. So the maximum period of the suspension would be the remainder session. like this is the winter session, so when they cannot attend any parliamentary committee meeting till the next session will begin. So this will be one of the punishable thing. And the second thing is that they cannot enter the chamber and they cannot attend any meetings related to the committee. Suppose that they are part of the committee also, in fact they cannot attend such things, and then they will not be eligible to give notice for the discussion or submission, and their question will not be answered, so they don't have right to reply to his question. So these are the terms of suspensions we have. Moving to the next slide is about intervention by the court. So do courts have right to intervene into such things? So according to Article 122, the court does not any right to intervene into the parliamentary proceeding, because judiciary has a separate role, parliament has a separate role. However, this matter has been reached to the Supreme Court, and we have seen that in Maharashtra 14 MLAs were suspended, and because of that the matter has reached to the Supreme Court. But Supreme Court has says that these kind of rules cannot be applied when the parliament into the session. It can be intervene after the completion of the session, but for the remaining session they had to follow the rule. So this was the Supreme Court ruling that the court does not have any authority to intervene in such matters, and if it's extended even after the session, then they have right to intervene. But when the session is going on and suppose that any MP or MLA has been suspended for the remainder session, so the Supreme Court or any High Court does not have authority to intervene into such things. So moving towards the next slide, which is the practice question for prelims, and the question is, in the context of parliamentary proceeding, the suspension of the members of parliament generally employs. And here we have options. The first option is termination of their parliamentary membership, temporary removal of their voting rights, exclusion from specific parliamentary sessions, revocation of their legislative powers. So you have to answer into the comment section. Moving towards the mains. So the mains is, the suspension of MPs is needed to maintain the democratic ethos of the parliament critically examined. So when this suspension happened, and this is not the first time, we already had discussed that since 2019 it can happen to 71 times, which is very huge in number in 4 to 5 years. So is this thing is acceptable, or is it democratically right? So when it comes to maintain the democratic ethos, then the MPs have right to speak in the parliament, and they have right to voice for the people, they have right to voice for the betterment of the society, and they have also right to speak about themselves, speak about their fellow MPs. But here we have to take care of that any behavior or anything should not be unacceptable in nature and should not insult the chair of the house and should not insult the speaker of the house. So we need to maintain that decorum. But here there is also a problem that decorum is not clearly defined, and we have seen that some unacceptable behavior in the parliament, which is not giving the good message for the society, because we have elected our representative, and if our representative will behave such, then we may have trust issues with the people and with the parliamentarians. On the other hand, there is another side of the coin. When such kind of incidents happen, so many political experts and analysis says that this is a mother of democracy, because they are the elected by the people and they are the representative of the people. So it's their right to voice for the people, and if any MP or if any MLA has been suspended for the remainder session, then there must be some important question, there must be some important issue the person cannot raise into the parliament or into the legislative assembly. In that sense, the right of the people are compromised. So there should be the separate provision that if any MLA or MP has been suspended, so that the people of that particular constituency should not suffer. So in that way, we have to also look forward that by maintaining the decorum, we have to voice out for the people, and there should be the clearly defined that what is the decorum and till what extent the MP and MLAs can voice out. So there should not be a bar on the freedom of speech and expression, but there should be always decorum, that it should not be insulted of any political arena or any political ethos. So in that way, it should not compromise the democratic ethos, and the speakers should provide opportunity to MLA and MP to give and voice for their own people. So this would be your conclusion. I hope you like this lecture. If you have any query related to this lecture, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you.